And now the best part of the film festival, and that's talking to the people who make the films. Joining me, Mark Lewis, whose baby is Cane Toads. And it's just such a bizarre name, and of course reading the information about it, about these, I mean, it sounds like a nightmare, all these toads that have come out. And
yeah, maybe. Nightmare for some, a pleasure for others. Look, it's really about how this toad has sort of, moved into various parts of Australia, has overtaken various parts of Australia, and also come into contact with a lot of different people who take the toad and use it for whatever reason they want to use it for. So they adopt it. Sometimes people treat it as a pet, some people treat it as a pest.
But it can be venomous as well, correct?
Yeah, the toad, I mean, I think one of the issues with the toad is that it has a poison toxin in its glands behind its eyes. And it's a defense mechanism toxin. So in other words, if something picks it up, this toxin oozes from the toad and it creates the predator. It makes the predator drop the toad, but also it can cause death in the animals that predate upon the toad. So it's a toxin that's also been used in witchcraft and all sorts of things. So it's the traditional sort of toxins that toads and frogs sometimes have in their skins.
Well, now let's go back to the beginning.
Sure.
How they even got there.
Well, look, in the early 30s in Australia, we had a lot of sugarcane, and the sugarcane farmers were having a problem with a particular pest called the greyback beetle. For some reason, some lady in Puerto Rico, an entomologist called Raquel Dexter, suggested that this toad would be good to eat the beetle. It was a case of misidentification, but no one knew that at that time. They imported toads to Hawaii, they imported toads to Fiji, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea and Australia. And in Australia we had 102 toads come in 1935 to propagate the toads and then release them into the wild in the hope that they would devour these beetles that were eating the sugarcane. And what in fact happened was we found out, and the film's about the story how this toad failed to do what it was supposed to do and then became a pest in its own right. It's a great story.
It's cynical.
Yeah, well, it's cynical, it's ironic, it's it's environmental, it's ecological, it's environmental. I mean, really, it's about invasive species and how we control them and how we attempt to control them.
Mm-hmm. And how we ourselves are the
biggest invasive species of all.
Exactly. I love that. Say that again. Say it again.
Oh, well, of course, we're the biggest invasive species. And you look at the damage the toad does, and then you look at the damage that mankind does. And it's, the toad is a very small percentage of what man's destruction is actually doing to the planet. But that's a sub-theme, I guess.
But it is a big theme. I mean, it's
Sure.
one that we're all talking
Sure.
about after
Yeah.
the oil and...
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many instances.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what drew you to this film?
No, not really. I mean, what drew me to the film really was just the story. I mean, it was a great story for a filmmaker, and the stories and the characters were fantastic. They were classic characters, great Australian characters. And, I mean, all of the stories. I mean, here's one animal that is despised, that's loved as a pet, that's despised as a pest, that people were using the drug to get high. The drug was killing, or the toxin was killing dogs and cats. So there were many, many different and disparate elements to the story. And I think that's what attracted me as a filmmaker. So it always had this environmental theme, but the sub-theme really was about all of the disparate stories and how they affected different people.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking to filmmakers about their minds.
Oh, yeah.
And how you come up.
Drugs.
Oh, drugs. That was it? Okay. Okay, that answers the question.
Yeah, so what's next?
Let's go back, though. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Tell me about, and of course, the reason why people watch movies as well is because they know the filmmaker. So I want to know you. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how you even decided to get into film?
Look, it was I guess I'm still heading in a direction, and I finished university. I studied economics. I spent a long time traveling, and I worked, in all different sorts of jobs around the world. When I came back to Australia, I was living in Australia at that stage. I worked in radio as a reporter, as an interviewer for a current affairs program. and I applied to what was called then the Australian Film and TV School. So I applied to become a filmmaker. Then I spent, I think, 3 years at film school. And coming out of that, I then started making my own short films. And one thing leads to another. And by the time you realise what a terrible career filmmaking is, you realise it's also too late. Too late to become a lawyer or a doctor or somebody making a decent amount of money to earn a living.
But everybody has a passion. Everyone that we've talked to, you have to have that passion.
Yes, but a passion sort of runs out when you have a mortgage. And unfortunately, I'm sort of being slightly sort of cynical, but I guess, yes, we all have passion to tell stories, and we like making films, and nothing gives us greater satisfaction than sitting in a cinema and hearing people laugh or hearing people clap or enjoying the film, and that's the satisfaction of it. It's a bit like, when you're a good cook, and I enjoy cooking, and you get instant gratification. You make a meal, you put it on a table, people go, they love it, they clean their plate, they compliment you, and it feels good. It's a bit like filmmaking is, but filmmaking is a 2-year dinner as opposed to a 2-hour dinner. So yes, I have a passion for filmmaking. I enjoy it, and I'm a workaholic. But there's also a business side to it too, and I think a lot of people confuse the degree of passion as a confusion that passion has to somewhat substitute for earning a living. And people get confused with that when it comes to film. So certainly passion drives us into filmmaking, but at some stage you have to be cognizant of the fact that one has to earn a living as well. So I think to be a filmmaker these days, you have to be a businessman at the same time.
Mm-hmm. We've heard that over and over and over again, but I still see the sparkle in your eye when you're talking about that movie. So,
I'm only trying to look sparkly just to make you feel good.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's good.
Sparkling because I've just been for a swim in Lake Michigan.
So when did you start this film? How long did it take you?
Probably about, I think from the time I first started pitching it, probably about 3 years from go to woe.
And do you work on others as well, or is it just one baby at a time?
One baby, one film. So, from the time I first started pitching it to, I finished the film 6 months ago, and then it's been 6 months of promoting, marketing the film, festivals, and doing a lot of traveling and a lot of screenings in different parts of the world. Yeah. And
you feel good about the feedback?
Oh yeah, if you find out your film sucks, you lie low and you're quiet about it.
Yeah.
But if your film gets good reviews and it's enjoyed, then you realise that there might be something here worth marketing. So of course, we believe in our own work, and we have to, because we don't, we're not lawyers and we're not doctors. So promoting and marketing these films is very important. I think the distinction with documentary is that, unlike theatrical films where Brad and Angelina can get out there and walk the red carpet and look glamorous and promote a film, the challenge with non-fiction films is that the filmmaker invariably has to do it himself, be it Michael Moore or Errol Morris or some of the filmmakers that we know. So it's up to us to, we can't ask a cane toad to walk the red carpet and do interviews like this. So invariably it's up to us to do them.
Mm-hmm. When it comes right down to it, are you ever truly satisfied with a movie?
No, I don't think you are. No, you're never satisfied with a movie. That's the joy of filmmaking, and the challenge always is to do things as well as you can and give things as much diligence and attention and try and create a perfection between all of the elements. And, the elements are music, there's sound, there's image, there's production design, there's the script, there's the narration, there's the characters, there's the interviews. So all of these elements have to come together to make a good film. I don't think any filmmaker is ever satisfied about the combination of elements and the craft, and that's what keeps us going, and that's why we like to keep on making films, because we think that the next film we make, we're going to do that so much better, and invariably, as soon as we make the next film, we make the same mistakes.
So the learning curve is always there?
Learning curve is always there, yeah, absolutely. And that's the joy of it. There's never there's never consistent repetition to it, because the technology changes, the characters change, the story changes, and then, determining how best to tell the story.
So you said you're a workaholic.
Yeah.
You gotta have some downtime.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Swimming in the ocean.
There you go. Or in the bay.
Or in the bay. But I live near the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, on the far north coast of Australia. Mm-hmm. So the Pacific Ocean we call Dr. Pacific. Ah. So because it feels like you've been to the doctor when you've gone for a swim, you know, because you've immersed yourself naked into the ocean and it's salt water all over your body and it feels good.
Sure.
So I'm lucky in that where I live it's very temperate and subtropical, so I swim all year round in the ocean. I was swimming, it's midwinter in Australia now and I was swimming a week ago. So I do that, and of course I do many different things, like I like riding a motorcycle and I like all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
So there's no slowing down.
Well, we have to have a break every now and then. I need a break at the moment. I'm a bit wired. And I've got another, 4 months to go. I've got festivals in Hamburg, Oldenburg, Munich, Zurich, London, Abu Dhabi, Tokyo, New Zealand. So, there's quite a lot of work and a lot of travel. But we do it because we believe in our films, and we like to, and also there's a sales part of it. So in other words, in screening our films in different festivals, we introduce our films to different distributors and we get sales and what have you. So there's a business. It's not for the sake of travel. It's really a business.
Mm-hmm. But it does sound glamorous.
I know. My wife thinks it sounds glamorous, but it's not.
Not so much.
No.
But you're now, of course, part of Northwest Michigan because you swam in the bay.
Yeah.
What else did you do?
Well, I arrived here on Wednesday night after a 30-hour flying. 30 hours? Yeah. I woke up at maybe 8 o'clock the next morning. I walked Front Street. I went straight to J&S.
Hamburg?
And I had breakfast because I felt that was my sort of place. They tried to steer me to some of those sort of, like gentrified, trendy places on Front Street, but I thought J&S was my sort of place, and it was. Classic Americana diner,
Yep.
Ham and eggs. Slam the old coffee cup down the counter. That was, Thursday morning, and then so I went for a walk. I think Thursday lunchtime I drove the M22. Right. It was at Leland. Yeah. I had lunch in the Cove in Leland. I had some whitefish.
Yes.
So I ate like a local. I drove like a local. Had the whitefish, and then last night I went to Phil's. Yep. And I had some of Phil's specialties. And then two wonderful local women took me in tow and showed me the sights.
Well, how nice for you.
It was. The people are extremely friendly here. It's fantastic. And then today I've been on a harbour cruise or a lake cruise, and I managed to swim to Lake Marion or Lake Power or Power Lake. Power Island and Marion Island.
See, you've done it all now.
Yeah. So it's very pretty, very beautiful, and I'm absolutely besotted by this place. It's my sort of place. It really is. It's just delightful. And the people, they embrace the festival. And you walk down Front Street and every second shop has got a window display and a poster, and people are too friendly.
No such thing.
It's making me sick.
No. You'll remember it, though. You'll remember it, right?
And I can't stand it. I've got to get back to somewhere like New York.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a bit of aggression.
There you go. We'll remember you. How's that? Thanks very much.
Tthe name of the movie is
Cane Toads. Check it out and stay with us. We'll be back in a minute.